Good morning, everybody. I am so pleased to have Annette with us this morning do empathy circles about climate change. I think it's such an important contribution that Annette is making. It seems to me that there's kind of action orientation that can be a bit pressured, and there can be sort of turning away because it's too overwhelming, and making a place that focusing does for the feelings and the process and is just a wonderful contribution. So without you might want to introduce yourself a little bit more, Annette.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. My name's Annette Dubreuil. I'm in Toronto, in Canada, and I have an environmental background. And then I found focusing, and I was drawn to teach it. And now I'm bringing these two together, slowly but surely. And so I've also been creating these empathy circles, and I came and spoke to you a few years ago about empathy circles, and we did a little one. And Katarina we did the demo, and what I've started to do is empathy circles on a topic. So I've done 4 of them now, and so what we're doing is staying with the same theme in the empathy circle, and so it builds, and they're interconnected, and so what I proposed to come to you today is to do an empathy circle on climate change, so that we can be with this topic in this group way. So I'm not going to say a lot about it. Now I'll kind of walk us through it as we go, each step, so you have it. And I will share a blog I wrote recently, which will inspire some of what I'll say in our centering. I'll do a bit of a centering and then a little tiny focusing exercise just to find something to be with for you, to get this topic alive in your body. And then we'll invite a few rounds of empathy circle, and we can talk about it afterwards. Yeah, and the main thing with the blog, I think that was interesting, is I was looking at this concept called the spiral of silence, which comes from the 70s. I don't know, Elizabeth Noel Newman. And what she proposed was that when people think or know, she has this really cool term called the quasi-statistical organ, which sounds a lot like Jenlin's felt sense, right? Like this kind of knowing, this kind of calculation that the body does and the system does to know, is my position in the minority? And if my position's in the minority, I might want to stay quiet. And her idea was for fear of isolation. And you can see in the blog, if you read it, that when I looked into it, mine was fear of getting hurt. It was like, if I'd say something, what's going to happen to me? So it didn't feel like I was going to get isolated. I felt like I was going to receive something. Anywho, yeah, so it's very interesting. And when you look at climate change in particular, the numbers kind of show that this is probably what's happening, because most people are concerned now. The numbers in the United States are somewhere along the lines of 70%, 72%, of which in the one poll that I show in the blog, it's like 42% are very concerned. And what's really interesting is when you ask, okay, and what about others? What do you think others are concerned about? That number, very concerned, goes to 14%. So it's a third as much. And so there's like this mismatch between what people are overall thinking and what they think others are thinking. And so it creates this silence of us, not speaking up, creates this faulty signal where we think, oh, we're still, and there still are a lot of people who disagree, and it's complicated. But there's this sense of like, oh, Okay. We're almost ready for a tipping point where society just needs something. And in the blog, I look at other moments that have been felt like a moment, like the Me Too movement. And I found this, there's this woman, I can't remember her name right now. She did a PhD on movements and what happens, when does it tip? And she found that it's when 3.5% of the population protests, like that threshold is enough to tip a system. And so in the US, that's about 12 million people, just under 12 million. The Me Too movement had 12 million tweets in 24 hours. It was kind of like, it was like, whoa, it met that kind of, threshold. The George Floyd protests after his murder, 15 to 26 million people. Again, more than 12 million. Biggest climate protests ever, 7.6 million only globally, not even in the US. So there's this sense of like the climate, speaking about climate isn't happening, protesting about climate isn't happening to these sufficient levels. And so we're continuing to do this incremental, yeah, we're doing stuff, but it's insufficient, right? It's not commensurate with what we need to have a safe world and or a safe enough world. It's never safe, fully safe. We're still going to have extreme weather events, but we don't have to keep making them more and more extreme. Yeah, anyways. So I think we'll switch into the centering and just see what's there for you, right? What's there for you today. And see what we'll leave all the science and the polling and all the numbers. We could put that down now. And just go, yeah, okay. What's there for us? So I'm going to invite you to do what you need to do to go inside. You might want to check out your space, find something nice to look at. And you might also just need to attend to your body. It might need some morning stretches still. So you might want to twist or extend somehow. Inviting you to do that. And when you're ready, inviting you to close your eyes or lower your gaze. And then maybe noticing your breath. And then inviting you to slow down your exhales, extending them. And inviting you to feel your feet on the floor and your sit bones on the chair. And as always, ignore any instructions that don't resonate. Do whatever you need. And I'll invite you to imagine that you have roots coming out of you. They might come out of your feet and go down into the earth, or they might come from your sit bones, or both. And just allowing your roots to go down deep into the earth and to intermingle with all the other roots that are there. And the fungi. The some people call it the wood wide web. And if your system has too much energy right now, I would invite you to send stuff down your roots and give it to that web below our feet. And if your system feels a little slow, inviting you to pull energy in, pull it up from the earth through those roots. The energy may flow in and fill your whole body. It might flow up your legs. And fill your torso. Spill over and fill up your arms. And finally, the neck and the head. And inviting you to notice if you need anything else to feel centered and grounded. There might be something there that needs your attention now, or maybe there's something you want to put down beside you at just the right distance. You can pick it up later. You might even give those things to plants for them to hold, as Dennis Windigo offers. I'm inviting you now to sense into this topic of climate change or climate crisis and what's there for you. What comes? There's the whole piece about talking about it that I mentioned. The whole piece about changing the way we do things and doing new things like you had last time, a few months ago, new kinds of farming that we can do. There's all kinds of new ways we can do things. And then there's the whole emotional piece. The ecological grief of having a disaster happen to you. If you've lived through that. Or noticing the slow changes that add up. There's seeing it happen to others and that vicarious grief. And also anticipating what it might do to us as it gets worse. I'm just inviting you to see what resonates, what needs your attention. Somewhere in all of that. And inviting you to notice where you're carrying that in your body. Where are there now physical sensations? What's their shape or size? Or what else do you notice in their qualities? Do they move? Do they have a weight or a color? And inviting you to notice the emotional quality there. What's your body holding? You might ask it to give you more details. What's it want you to know? And then I invite you to ask your body what might be your right next step. It might be ready to say or do something. Or maybe it's a smaller step. Or maybe there's something that's ready to be felt. Inviting whatever step is there for you. Asking your body, what's next? And you might ask your body to give you a handle for this step. If it doesn't come as something clearly, you might ask your body to give you an image or a metaphor. Some way of capturing the energy with which your body wants to move forward in this space. And I'll give us a few minutes to take a few notes on what came so you can remember it before we move into the empathy circles. We'll take 2 minutes here. Okay. So usually how we do this now is the empathy circle is one person focuses, one person listens for 10 minutes. And then we invite the whole group to pause and see what's coming in you now in having heard that session, and invite you to share. And I've just put it in the chat. Either when I heard you say something or when I saw you, suddenly smile, whatever it is, what you felt in your body, what came to you, or the handle, the symbol, I got this image or this word. So it can be something that comes through you for them. It feels like it's a resonance, or it might be something that touches your own stuff. So we invite both kinds of empathy. And so what I'll invite us to do is I can listen to the first person, a first volunteer for the first round, and we'll do 2 rounds like this before our breakout rooms. We would like to focus. Sue?
Yes, I'll have a go.
Okay, great. I think I can do this. Yes, I can do it. I'm the co-host. All right, great. Wonderful. So I invite you to let me know if you have any listening preferences before we begin.
No, not really.
Okay.
No.
Great. Okay, so inviting you to come back to your body. Just take a moment and let me know if you'd like some guiding with that, or if you.
I think I'm okay. I'll just sit with this for a minute.
Yeah, taking a moment.
Yeah, a lot just came up for me when we did our little attunement, and the big thing that came up is that I am carrying a lot of grief over this whole topic, and that I have been and it's a bit emotional when I say that.
Yeah.
And that I've been I was very involved in activism in this area for a while, and like I'm kind of understanding that was a way of not looking at the grief. So when you said, what does your body want from me there, it was to sit with the grief, which I kind of don't want to do because it feels huge.
Yeah. And where do you have all that in your body right now?
So right now I have closing my throat, and I can still feel the kind of, they manifested as kind of lead balls in my stomach, like just this very heavy weight. But now I also feel like something doesn't want me to speak.
Okay. So those sound like 2 things, the lead balls in the stomach and then the not wanting to speak. Is that right? Do you want to see which one wants attention now?
I think it's the lead balls. I think they're not wanting to speak is being a bit nervous in front of everybody, but I think it's the kind of grief in my stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. So inviting you to just sense into that for a moment and just see, you said it's kind of like you've been avoiding it. It's tricky, and yet there's something there now. The lead balls in the stomach.
Yeah, I'm kind of understanding I need to be with that grief. that it's a lot of busy work going on. Like there's a lot of anxiety and busy, and like this sense that, and this is going to sound very grandiose, but it's my responsibility to fix this kind of thing. And maybe not spending enough time being sad, like seeing, I don't know, things go extinct or people, you know, struggling, or yeah, I think I'm seeing a pattern, like I have this pattern of being busy when I don't want to look at something, and all of a sudden I'm seeing seeing it in my activism. It's a distraction, maybe, from distraction. Yeah, from not looking at all the sadness.
And were you saying it's a tendency beyond the ecological space, that it's like a pattern for you, and you're like, oh, I have it in my activism too, that this, oh, I get busy,
Yeah.
I avoid feeling.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. What's happening with those balls now? Did they change at all in saying that?
Yeah, there's some movement there. They don't seem so heavy, actually. Just having said that, they seem to be kind of bouncing around a bit. So not quite so. They have their own energy, whereas before it felt like it was dragging me down.
Yeah. And are they still only in the belly? Or how big are the bounces?
Yeah, they're in my belly, very low in my belly.
What's your body wanting you to know with that? Bouncing.
The word creativity comes quite clearly.
Creativity.
Yeah, I'm getting like a feeling like that there's a lack of that there's no imagination, that there needs to be more imagination to this field or thing, or my way of approaching it.
Yeah. You need to figure out or sense into what's yours to do in all of this. There's imagination needed.
Yeah, it's really interesting that I haven't focused on this and climate change. Like I haven't really, so I think that's where the idea of creativity is coming up, like a different way of seeing or coming to it. Or
yeah. So we have 3 more minutes. I'll invite you to sense in for your body to let you know one piece, maybe one. It might be a next step for how to find what's yours to do and sense into that creativity, or maybe it even gives you an idea now. Just see what wants to come.
I guess what's coming is still to be with the grief, and maybe that will lead to the creativity. I don't really understand that. It feels, yeah, it's like I need to be with the grief. I just need to, you know, be sad.
Yeah, your body's saying the way is through the sadness.
Yeah.
But you need to do that part first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might ask your body how you can be with the sadness, how it would like to be. Is it on your own? Does it need to be accompanied? How does it want to do it?
To stop being so busy.
Right. All the distractions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So stop being so busy, and I guess maybe you know, in that busyness, I know that in that busyness is like a big responsibility. There's like, oh, it's my job to do that kind of thing. And maybe to, you know, yeah, maybe there's another way.
Yeah. Does this feel like a good place to stop? Is there more?
It does. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'll invite you to thank your body for all of that. And you can let it know you're going to find some ways to be less busy so that there's space to be with the sadness.
Mm.
And then the imagination and creativity will be able to come. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. So I'm going to unspotlight us and invite everybody to pause now. You can all either close your eyes or lower your gaze and just notice what's happening in your body. What comes or what came in you in listening to Sue. So it might have been something that came during the session, or maybe it's coming now. It may be more on the physical felt sense plane, or it may be more on the symbol handle level. Whatever wants to come. And then we'll take some reflections and just inviting you to unmute and use some kind of version of the phrasing I put in the chat, right? So when I heard, or in being with all of it, I get. This is the word that comes, that kind of thing.
When I heard the word imagination, my whole being sort of woke up. Oh, it goes there, imagination.
Mhm.
And I remembered this quote from Einstein, I think. Every problem is a failure of imagination.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Monica.
I felt the same way with the word imagination. It was like, imagination. It was like it just opened like to this whole big, huge thing. Like, wow, we're really allowed to do that? Imagination. And then when I heard, and what is there for you to do, my stomach kind of went like I just wanted to be with the openness of imagination, and something in me felt pressured, like what, with the words, what to do something. So that's all there. Thank you.
Any others?
I'll speak.
Yeah.
So when I heard the awareness about maybe activism being a means of hiding the grief, I felt some resonance with that, and the stop being so busy. And I also kind of get the sense of helplessness, like, you know, I can do my things I can do, but so there's that.
Yeah. Sharing. So Sue, how is it to hear those reflections? Is there anything else that comes, or anything else you want to say?
It's interesting. Like the imagination thing does feel very expansive, and the doing feels very heavy again. And what Marianne just said, I think maybe, you know, with my head, I'm looking like I'm doing this, but it's not making a difference. kind of thing. You know, there's just this idea of like, there must be different ways to tackle this, and that maybe this isn't the only way, or you know, not that activism isn't important, it obviously is, but how else, you know. I think there's a sense of like hopelessness, and I'd like to have some hope again, and somehow the word imagination does feel expansive and full of hope.
Beautiful. Good. So we could do a second round, and somebody volunteer to focus, and somebody could volunteer to listen. And I wonder, Marianne, since the hopeless is right there, would you like to volunteer to focus?
Thank you for the invitation, but I'm not certain I'm up for that right now.
Of course, you can always
Thank
back.
you.
Yeah.
I wondered if Monica might be willing to focus. I just felt that move in when she was describing the body fields of the two experiences. I just wondered if that might be something alive for her, if she'd be willing.
I would do it for you, Marianne.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Marianne, do you want to listen to her?
I suppose I could do that.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
No judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There you are, and there you are. Yeah, in about 10 minutes.
Okay, and you'll signal when the time is close.
Yeah, that's right. Good. Monica, do you like a 2-minute warning? Sorry, I forgot to do that. For you.
Less is fine. 30 seconds, really.
Great.
Thank you, Annette. Yeah, there's an opening, like these big, huge arms. Like, yes, I can go and play with my neighbors. And in the attunement with Annette, there was this, when I got past this kind of what to do, you know, and say, just be with it, be with it, be with it. There is a what to do that includes imagination. And it is a just be, just the potluck with the neighbors. There's a wanting in this village here to bring potlucks back, monthly potlucks, and it's enough. It's enough to do that. This is the step. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this opening, this big expansive kind of play. Once you got past that clenching of the what to do, just that awareness of being with it. Like that's what to do, is the being.
Yeah. Yeah, the imagination and the yes, of focusing, and I see Lynn's voice and invitations and teachings about communicating across differences, and just being with people, and it works. And I just, this is it.
Yeah, that imagination, and like the work, the community empowerment, and there's a sense of this is it. That brings some tears.
Yeah. I see like little faces of my neighbors, you know, their sweet little faces, and the wanting to be together.
You said Arms may still be outstretched. It looks like there's that imagination and that yes.
Yeah, it's like a big hug.
Oh. Mm.
We
Maybe
just had a neighbor's party, and the young people in California are huggy, and this young man comes in for a hug, and then there's an older man behind him looking at me, kind of like, I'd like one too. but we're this generational something generational mores, I guess.
yeah. Mm. Sense of community there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that helps. That actually feeling that really helps the other thing to subside. Like this, like I have an image of being pounded on, like do something, do something, do something, do more, do more, do more, do more, do more.
Oh, yeah. This a sense of doing more and like pressure to jump into action steps, and then there's this something about the community that helps to soften that, or
Yeah.
maybe make it less harsh.
Gentle, like this, just gentleness. There's a gentleness in cheese plates, like just being together and having little offerings.
Yeah, it's a gentleness that comes with that. The community, the offerings, connections.
And the pounding is just right there in my head.
Yeah.
To do
Pounding that's
something,
right
do
there.
more, do something, do more.
Yeah.
Why can't you?
Wow. There's a lot of pressure there. Almost like it's personalized, like it's maybe feels like it's all on you.
Well, it's not all on me.
No.
It's the worries there in everybody. And the opening, that's just what it is. The opening is just being together. It's the community. And we don't have to know. We don't have to know. We don't even have to know.
Yeah. But maybe you could make space for both that pounding, that pressure, and space for this community and this sense of openness and the togetherness, and that we don't have to know. It's the being with, and the see how that is to hold both of those.
And just seeing how cute my community members are. Their little curly hair and like and just kindness, all the kindness that we have.
Yeah.
Talent.
Yeah. Community, the kindness, the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that brings a sense of
Hope.
possibility or hope.
Yeah. like I have an image of a woman who's a retired nurse, and her wanting to make the emergency lists and know who's at risk, and make a map of our street and our neighborhood. And she wants to do the whole village, and she will. I'm sure she will.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know how tender and hard it is for her in personal ways. So like there's this like there's this holding, like knowing that everybody has their whole mix of personhood that
Come on,
often
buddy.
makes things hard.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess her bravery in coming forward, even though she's a recluse. Yeah.
There's something there about bravery. This nurse that's coming forward and wanting to map out things in the village for emergencies and safety, and knowing that she's got things going on, but she's still stepping forward. Something
Yeah.
about bravery.
Yeah. Like if she can do it. That her bravery inspires me. Thank you so much.
My
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
Hotel under the spotlights. And invite all of us again to pause. And see what's in you now. Seeing what reflection you might offer to Monica. Something physical that's coming in you, or a word, a phrase, an image. I'm inviting you to share when you're ready. You can just unmute yourself.
Monica, when you were sharing about community, I felt a strong sense of gratitude come up in me, and a feeling in my heart of gratitude for community, for a loving community.
Monica, when you were sharing about the community members, I don't know what it was, but I just saw like they were all cabbages. Like, I don't know if they weren't quite Cabbage Patch Kids, but they were just like a field.
They are cabbages.
Okay.
That actually inspired me to think of my neighbors as cute.
Monica, I was touched when you were very hard on yourself, the gestures of being like so hard on yourself, and then sort of working toward finding another way of being with yourself, and how connecting to that woman felt like a path for you.
Thank you.
I felt something open when you said we don't have to know when we're together.
Monica, it's BJ. Good morning.
Good morning.
No, it's early there. I just want to give witness to the power of vulnerability, and gratitude to you for that. The image that comes to me is really it's some sort of balancing and memory is on one end and hope is on the other.
Mm.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah. Is anything
this
from
is-
Monica? Oh, was there another one?
Yeah, this is Meg's. Monica, that was so interesting. When I heard you say several times a pressure to do more, to do more, to do more. And I I felt like I wanted to grab my knighthood sword and stand next to you and not resist, but the awareness of that massive force. It's almost unnameable. It's so big, but that I recognize that in. I just really felt the way you said that.
Mm.
Felt you not under attack, but under pressure. I had different things, but yes.
Monica, is there something else that comes in hearing the reflections, or is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I could have used Meg's to help me with that attack. I mean, that's very sweet. Thank you, Megs. And the kindness of everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, everybody.
So we'll have breakout rooms now for 20 minutes to share what's coming up for you, maybe what came in the centering, focusing exercise, or what's coming in having heard these 2 rounds of empathy circle, and then we'll come back and have a bit at the end.
I'm just thinking that maybe it's almost 20 after 9.
Mm.
If we want to share what happens in the breakout rooms, maybe 15 minutes. What do you think?
That's fine too. Yeah. Yeah, we can make them shorter.
Coming back to our senses.
Yes, yes. Coming back to our senses. Welcome back, everybody.
Mm.
Good to see you, Nancy. So I'm always eager to hear what happened in your breakout rooms, what you're coming back with.
We have both the micro and macro points of views in our discussion room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
In the
love that. It's macro.
Yeah. We are sharing about the Earth planet. The Earth planet is big enough to take care of herself. And we are also sharing about the micro level. There's something that we can do, each of us can do to take care of the Mother Earth.
Yes, yes.
If only we have that awareness. Yeah.
And to follow Schulich in our break room, something came to me, was like, it came a little bit with Monica when she said doing more, or what we have to do, and it just dawned on me, we're doing it right now. We are. This is it. This is it.
Yes, yes.
Why look further? This is it. I'm experiencing my felt sense. I'm connecting with sensitive people who care. This is it. Frankly, for myself, I don't need more, because then I go into concept, my mind and everything, and I forget that this is it. This is the connection. We're having it right now. Feeling it and acknowledging it, and being with very sensitive and caring people, interested in connecting. This is wow. This is wow. So thank you again. know, being all here this morning and keep on being interested in ourselves and sensing and sharing it with others, but just by being who we are, expressing ourselves. It's great. Thank you.
Anybody else before we move to the poem? I know it's a bit long.
We were, oh, so here's the word for when we're sharing. Are we cellmates?
Mhm.
What do you call us, cellmates?
Breakout room partner is usually.
We touched on, and I think it was we're both, I thought, had a valuable experience talking about confrontation and the ability to listen, to be open, to persuade. So we didn't touch on today's overt topic, climate, but we talked about our ability to confront. And excuse my wincing. My house is being invaded by ants.
Oh.
Maybe that's an ant bites me, so I.
Before we go, I'd just like to lift up the gratitude for the energy that every single person has put into making this morning possible. Christine and Lynn, Annette, your attunement was just so splendid. I'm going to go to the transcripts and print it out. It was just so splendid, so moving. You set the stage for this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And each of you that focused and that spoke made this be it, as Mikhail says. Thank you all.
Thank you, BJ. And when you type out the transcript, maybe we'll put it with the video in the description, and people will be able to have it.
Sure. Thank you.
Annette, I want to thank you too. It was really very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Lovely to be with you all. Dorothy, are you the one reading the poem today?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I just want to present a little bit. It was so nice that Annette added something about the poet, which is very interesting. Larry Robinson is his name, and his poem is Falling. And he's a retired eco-psychologist and former mayor of Sebastopol, is that right? California. And founder of Rumi's Caravan, ensemble of poets and musicians dedicated to restoring the oral tradition of poetry, and is currently on a board of directors for the Center of Climate Protection in Meridian University, on the board of trustees. Falling. In these awe-filled days of fire and flood, we watch and wait and wonder when that fierce hand might reach at last for us. Those of us not yet touched by calamity quake, knowing in our bones that though we may be spared this time, time will level us all. No magic amulets, no prayers, good deeds, or good looks can promise protection from our terminal condition. And those who have watched a child swept forever from our arms, or fled the flames that swallowed our hopes and our memories, or hid from the bombs or the predator's gaze, know that nothing now will ever be the same, as if anything ever were. For all of us are falling like ashes, like rain, like petals or leaves, but we all are falling together. And if we knew, in truth, there was nowhere to land, tell me, could we know the difference between falling and flying?
Wow. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, wonderful, beautiful. I'll put the name in the.
What was the name of the?
It's in the chat.
Oh, great. Okay. I was just putting it.
Falling by Larry Robinson, and I found it. There's a nice little book that I read by Carolyn Baker called Apocalypse Anytime. And she has a chapter on hope, joy, I think it's caring. And then there's one on, she calls it descent, which is the shadow piece. It's a nice little read. And actually her emphasis with hope is on agency. So it's interesting, right? Like I don't always connect those dots. But for me, when we're able to do something that brings hope, that we know we can change the system. Because when you look at it long enough, you're going like, it might not be inhabitable for humans in the long run, what we're doing. So there is like, I can be with both, right? There's like, we need to change ourselves. That's all we can do. And yet when we change ourselves and we're with others in community, we can also change the system. So these things all go together somehow because it's not a concept, it's just process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Annette.
Thank you.
See you all next week when we're going to be investigating humor. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Annette.
Thank you so much, Annette. That was awesome.
Thank you, Annette.